Yeah, this is Ronan Ahau there with the details that she got from the National Budget Conference. But now getting to another story here, there's a report that was released by Uganda Revenue Authority and Tweweza, and according to what they said, they were like, very many Ugandans or business people find it hard to obtain capital to start up the business. And our reporter Naomi was there and she gave us more of the details from this report that was organized by Tweweza and the Uganda Revenue Authority. Let's have more of this very story from Naomi.
According to research by Sauti za Wananchi, a mobile phone survey found out that among Ugandans who had closed their businesses in the previous 5 years, lack of capital was cited by half of the former business owners as the main cause. Other factors include a lack of market and poor demand, which accounts for 13%, as well as high input costs, which account for 12%, and intense competition, which is at 11%, and effects of COVID-19 at 10%, and taxes and tax regulations, which account for 4%, are the main reasons given by previous business owners as to why their companies closed. Likewise, among their top 3 company obstacles, access to money is mentioned by existing business owners most frequently, which accounts for 63%. Other concerns with a financial component but a stronger emphasis on high costs include accessing transportation, which accounts for 35%, the high cost of capital, which is at 30%, and procuring supplies or equipment, which account for 27%.
What we have unearthed in these findings is that the key challenge that businesses face is capital, access to capital, that to a point that for those that closed, when we ask what are some of the reasons their businesses closed, we see lower mentions of COVID-19 coming up. So the key thing is capital, cost of inputs. Those are the major challenges that businesses are facing.
The 5th most mentioned difficulty is the high expenses associated with taxes, levies and permits, which account for 17%.
Shortfalls in tax collection cannot be necessarily attributed to the Uganda Revenue Authority, but also the performance of the economy. Let's not forget that the targets for URA are set on assumptions of what the economic growth will be like in the coming year, how the businesses will perform. Now, URA has the task of actually walking into these entities, and sometimes you walk to the entity and you're able to realize that the business is not performing as predicted. So we need to put into context the shortfalls in revenue collection, that they might be generally reflecting the inability of the economy to serve the business sector, to give them the opportunities to do business, which business opportunities actually generate the tax revenues.
Despite gaps in tax collection, Ugandans nevertheless make significant contributions.
To go just by the shortfalls that the URA has reflected in its performance, it would not give the accurate picture. You need to look at the over 10% growth in revenue that we have posted in light of the COVID years in which we are performing, in which the businesses are affected. And that in itself shows on progress on how the tax administration is performing, on how the Ugandans are contributing more to the budget that runs the business of government. So yes, we performed below target at 21.6 against the 22.4 that we had or we were expected to perform at. But there was growth if you compare to the previous year, and that in itself is something to take home.
Citizens currently support statements that acknowledge the necessity for taxation significantly more than they did in late 2019. 84% of respondents, up from 79% in 2019, believe taxes are crucial to the prosperity of the nation and its economy. However, a large portion of Ugandans are still unaware of the many taxes they pay, which prevents the government from investing in the public services necessary for society and the economy to prosper.
There is low understanding of taxation among Ugandans. This starts with the tax collection body. Do Ugandans understand who URA is? What does URA do? we see that only 50% do understand that URA collects taxes. And we also see that a number of them, of Ugandans, are not aware of the taxes that are being levied on different goods and services. They are most aware of VAT. This is mentioned by 69%. The next most mentioned is at about 30%. So we see there is that gap. And also when it comes to paying of the taxes, most people say that they do pay VAT. We have lower mentions of other taxes. So that tells you something about the current tax base, that it's not really as wide as we would want it to be, that a few are bearing the burden while the rest go untaxed.
Close to half of Ugandans have owned a business at some point in the past 5 years. Among these, less than a half, which is at 21%, say their business is still operating. The most common types of currently operating businesses are in agriculture, which account for 35%, wholesale and retail trade, which are at 18%, hawking at 13%, and small services, such as salons, at 11%. Business owners are currently more positive than they were 3 years ago about the state of their own businesses.
According to this report, access to capital is very hard by very many Ugandans, and now stakeholders are saying that this can only be solved when the parish development model is back to its feet, because we have also assessed some sort of corruption in this very program. Let's get to another story here in Ntunkamo. Ntunkamo municipality may find it hard to recover 7.5 billion of the 12.5 billion shillings that is meant for infrastructure development in that very district. This money, according to the USMID reports, was returned back to the National Treasury. Let's have more of this very story. Ntunkamo district is part of the municipal council across the country that is implementing the $360 million infrastructure initiatives funded by the World Bank. However, only 5 million of the 12.5 billion shillings allotted for road infrastructure projects have been used. The remaining 7.5 billion have been transferred back to the National Treasury due to poor progress of the road civil works. This information was made public during a field assessment of the various roads being constructed in Ntunkamo municipality. A thorough audit of the municipal council should be conducted, according to Godfrey Muchunguzi, the resident commissioner in Ntunkamo district, in order to identify these issues.
There are certain things I looked at, it was as if it is, instead of fiscal accountability, it was just like a bonanza. I don't want to rush to conclusions, but what I'm sure of, there is something wrong here, and which must be cleaned. Recently, I overheard some people saying, the RDC should not be concerned about the other one. As long as you are using government money, as long as that money is not from your pocket or your father's bank account, be sure the presidency must question.
Dr. Isaac Mutenyo, the USMID AF program coordinator, pleaded to the local authorities to have these hiccups removed immediately. The completion of these roads is expected to happen within the next year. He noted it would be extended.
There's a lot to be done. On the roads, we have seen cases where there seem to be a few encumbrances on the road, which we have advised the municipal council to take up urgently so that they don't have other after effects. We went to the quarry site as well, and we discovered that he has actually started production, and I think he should be in position to supply the required different aggregates on the road. So overall, there's some improvement, but there's still a lot that needs to be done by Ntunkamo.
Planning ourselves on a drip and threatening to go to the intensive care, those are not good statements for us. And for us from the presidency, we shall not be part of that at least, because we have to take actions that can liberate that one. They usually say that when when the sickness persists, you take it to the real doctor. And on Monday, we shall critically scrutinize this one with the town clerk. We shall have a meeting at 10 a.m. at my office, so that we also appreciate and understand some of these technical things, so that we also know where to start from.
According to Jacob Kafreka, Mayor Ntunkamo Municipality, a new contemporary market will be built in the neighborhood as a comprehensive measure to guarantee that both locals' daily lives and commercial activities go on without a hitch.
That with our continued cooperation, we shall achieve more. I also wish to request the Ministry to also expedite the process of working on the following projects under the program as had earlier promised. They include the Nyerere Road, Katahaja Road via Chief Magistrate's Court.
USMID initiative is being implemented in a context where Uganda has seen significant economic growth since 1986, a decline in poverty, and an average annual GDP growth of 8.1 in the last 6 years. USMID is making a contribution to the second National Development Plan, which has recognized infrastructure as one of the supplementary sectors for growth. This is what we do every Sunday at this particular time, where we bring you the stories that made the headlines of the weekend. And I want to thank you for still sticking to the Smart 24 television. This has been the business edition, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Remember, don't drink and drive. Hook us on our social media platforms. That's the social media platforms. That's Facebook, Smart 24 TV Official, Twitter, Smart 24 TV Official, and Instagram, the same. This is the Smart 24 TV, where we drive business. My name is Pedison Mombere. Let's catch up over the weekend at this particular time. Thank you.